tell you what, we're going to stop in a couple of minutes, but I'll give you each of you an opportunity to, if you think about it. I'll go first to just tell us one Dundee story, because I do think there are characters in Dundee. I like the fact that it's maintained that, and I met a businessman once who said he was really, really glad that the oil didn't come here, because it could have done. And he told me that the reason it didn't was because the council was too corrupt and wanted too many backhanders. That was then. And that the airport wasn't big enough to take executive jets, so they went to Aberdeen, which is interesting. But, he felt that a lot of the character of the city had been maintained. And, I mean, there are so many stories, but I think one of them has got to do with Dens Park. So I'm in the shed, whenever, and with my daughter, and football. You accept that there's going to be a certain amount of language that's maybe you wouldn't use in your home and certainly would not use in your church. But there were some guys behind us who were really over the top with it, and I was thinking, this is ridiculous. What do I do? And I needn't have bothered worrying, because this guy stands up in front of us and yells to the back. And I'm not going to say exactly what he said, because it involved a certain amount of bleeping, but he said, "Yous, shut your beep, beep, beep mouths. You can't be beep, beep, beep talking like that with all these beep, beep, beep sweary words." He says, "There's a wee lassie here, and you need to beep, beep, beep." And then he looked at me and he realised what he was saying. He says, "Sorry, mate." And I just thought, I love this place. I just thought it was just great. And I thought, well, good for you. Thank you for having that consideration. There's kind of a wee contradiction in what you're saying, but I just thought, that's about as Dundonian as I could get. So, Jim, you tell us some others.
Well, I'll come on one in a second, but that reminds me of covering a game, Forfar met Celtic at Station Park in the Scottish Cup. Yeah. And the language from the Celtic fans down at the bottom was really choice. Yeah.
Was that the Jakinovsky game? Was that the one Jakinovsky scored?
You remember it, Jakinovsky?
I was in that.
He was the one making the language.
And so the Celtic fans in the stand, it's just a small stadium, And a guy shouts up, he turns around and he shouts, "Oh lads," he says, "what's your language? There's lorry drivers down here." I thought it was great, but you talk about the character of the city. I mean, a good pal of mine, we went through school together, George Donnelly. George is one of the senior criminal practitioners in the city. He's a lawyer, and before the famous Sheriff Cox, who was legendary in these parts, and he is dead, so he is a legend. George had been in one day, and there'd been a bit of bother with some German sailors. The German Navy had been in port, been a bit of bother, and there was an old homeless guy who was basically seeking shelter. He come in, and that was where he got his heat during the day. He was coming to Sheriff Court, sit there and get a warm up in the morning. They didn't have an interpreter, and Sheriff Cox bamboozled and said, "Does anybody in the court speak German?" The old guy, the homeless guy, put his hand up and he went, "I speak German." I said, "Would you ask him what his name is?" He went, "You, what is your name?" He was lucky he didn't get 30 days for contempt. He did throw him out, but that kind of summed it up,
Yeah. Kevin, you got any Dundee stories?
I've got a Dundee story.
Right, go on then.
And now that I think of it, so when I was 18, I was working in a mental hospital in Glasgow called Lennox Castle, and we get great. It was during the summer. It was a great job because for various reasons, but you didn't get taxed because we're students. So I had this money I'd never ever had before. And the first round of the European Cup was drawn, and Celtic were drawn against Juventus of Turrent. Mm-hmm. So me and my pal Billy decide we're blowing everything. We're going to Turrent for the holiday of a lifetime, see the Celts, who get hammered, but that was besides the point. And the night before the game, being 18, being from Glasgow, having too much money, we cleared the bar of all the booze. It wasn't a hotel that was accustomed to having a large influx of Scots, so the booze had gone quite quickly, so the hotelier was a bit shocked, and the Carabinieri are coming in and they're chasing various Scots with booze, and we were taking it from behind the bar but leaving, because we're quite honest. Mm-hmm. We were leaving the money that we thought was, and there was 4 lads from Lochee Harp Celtic Supporters Club who were about the same age as us, and they didn't have a place to stay, so they came and stayed in me and Billy's room. And I'll never forget the next morning, I'm woken by these 4 Lochee lads chatting away in their language, right? And Billy says, how did we get these effing Italians in our room? I was still to this day, I couldn't even begin to try and reproduce that dialect, but it was brilliant.
And do you know, it's amazing that it's still here, despite all that, you know. And I mean, I feel sorry because we have these Chinese and Malaysian students who speak perfect English. Absolutely perfect. And the first time they're on a ward in 9 Wells, they come back so depressed because they think they can't speak English. It's not them that can't speak English. Ewan.
I've got a lot of stories for the last 20 years, but yeah, probably one that struck me recently is I was in the V&A for the first time. I was one of these folk that didn't go in the opening week and decided to go about 6 months late. So it was only about maybe 3 weeks ago I was at a meeting there. And I remember just as I was coming out, there was a friend of mine was walking in, and he'd just been there for the first time the previous week. And I says, so you've come at the V&A? I said, have you been in before? He says, no, this is my second time. He says, I was here last week. I says, what did you think of it? He says, pardon my language here, but he says, there's a lot of pish in it. And I think to be honest, that's Dundee. I mean, people just say what they think. They don't filter their thoughts through a grid of propriety. They just say it. And I just love that brutal honesty.
Well, it is the brutal honesty that you get that, you know, that's true. Jim, you get...
Well, my story involves Dundee, but not a Dundonian. I was fed up, stuck in the office about 4 years ago. So I decided to take myself down with my lunch to City Square. So I'm just sitting in City Square watching the world go by. It was late summer, beautiful day. And as I'm sitting there, I'm aware that there's this guy walking around. And one of the delights of Dundee is all the foreign students who come. And there was this black guy, and he was walking around, and he was giving leaflets to people. So he came up to me, and he gave me a leaflet, and I noticed it was a gospel tract. So I said to him, that's great, I'm a Christian. Oh, he said, that's wonderful, you're a Christian, I'm a Christian, we're both Christians. It's great. So then I asked him the question that any Christian would ask another Christian, where do you worship? And he said, well, the Baptist church. And I said, which one? And he said, Central Baptist Church. And I said, that's really interesting. I'm the lead pastor in Central Baptist Church. And he looked at me and he said, I knew I'd seen you somewhere before.
Yeah. That's what happens when you belong to a big church.
Brilliant.
Guys, it's been great to have you here. I have to say, by the way, somebody wrote in and complained, how come there's no women? And it was because of what Kevin said. She says, I hate women. No, it was just the way it was in terms of people I've been involved with, and I was wanting politics and journalists and so on. I did ask a couple of women, but they seemed scared. No, they weren't able to come. But I do want to thank you for being here. Really, really, really appreciate it. It strikes me. I'd like to say something to each of you. Jim, what you do is, I actually think it's great for the city, and you are a Dundonian, and I do think Dundee is a great city, and I'm sorry to believe in it, but hopefully we'll be back, and I will keep hearing from you because I'll be listening, especially for the derbies. I mean, they won't let you commentate on them. But keep where you're going, and keep, please, as we're looking at faith and everything that's involved. You said you're on your way on a journey back, and Kevin as well. It's even briefly, it's been a joy to get to know you, and I hope that we will keep in touch, and I hope that you will come back up to Dundee often as well. But if the next time you're flying out to Australia, just don't have a heart attack.
Stop off.
Come out and see us. My medical knowledge is not good, but stop off in Sydney. And again, the same thing. I think you guys as journalists, what we're looking for is truth. You know, and for me, the ultimate truth is found in Jesus Christ, but we need that truth. And Ewan as well, the work that you do, particularly in poverty and the writing that you have, I do pray that God would protect you and keep you. And I thank you for the work that you do. And he is good news for the poor. And Jim as well, you know, central, it's really, really important. I probably don't agree with you, by the way, on the health of the churches in Dundee, because my experience has been that there has been a decline, but I think it's been really important to have your church in the centre. And I hope that there'll be many more church plants, you know, that Loki and others will, you know. And my view is, and I know you think this as well, we're not worried about the competition. We want there to be as many churches as possible, you know.
I think from our point of view as well, David, I don't think the evening would be complete without some comment on your ministry here.
Yeah.
And in a world of beige, you know, you are colourful, and you're.
That has so many meanings.
He's the first one I look for on Twitter every morning.
And, you know, in many ways, Christians in Dundee have looked to you for leadership.
Yeah.
And I just want to, I guess on behalf of us all, a bit of a cheek coming into St. Peter's as the pastor of this Baptist church and saying, we really appreciate you and we wish you God's blessing as you go to Australia.
Absolutely.
God bless you.
And David, before you interject again, I think we probably want to go this way because Jim's right. I mean, I would like to say something too. I mean, my wife said, "What is this event you're going to?" And I says, I've got to be honest, I don't know. I says, I reckon it's a bit like a funeral without the dead body. But I have to say that you know, when I was speaking to my wife about this, I said to her, you know, obviously this was shortly after we'd met for coffee, because obviously I've not got anywhere in the Stobswell to go for a cup of coffee anymore, because you're only 2 streets away from me. But we basically we'd talked about you going to Australia, and I said, well, I was beseeching the Lord that He might change the direction and keep you here. But my wife said a very interesting thing. She says, "Who's going to speak up for us anymore?" And I have to say, I said, therein lies the problem, Leah, is, you know, this is the term I used. I again apologise for my language, but I says, the church needs to rediscover its balls. And actually, probably a gender-neutral term would probably be better. Maybe our boldness would probably be a better term. Boldness. But actually, the fact of the matter is we've kind of, you know, lost our ability to just say what we think. And actually, you do it with incredible eloquence, but actually you're a treasure to this city. And that was really what underpinned the article I wrote in the Tully is, you know, that you're a true Dundee worthy. You've become one of us. You know, people in Dundee use the term pertawa. You're pertawa now. And the fact that you're going away, I think, is a huge loss to the city. But I think it's a call to the rest of us in this room to rediscover that fire that burns deep within us, to be open, to be transparent, to say what we think, and to hell with what anybody else thinks. Who cares? Jesus didn't care, and He got strung up on a tree for it, unfortunately. But the fact of the matter is that we just need to rediscover our boldness.
He's basically the Fast Eddie of the ministry, isn't he?
Fast Eddie, yeah, that's great. Thank you. Kevin, on you go. Why not?
Keep it short.
Yeah, go take a shot.
The first person who told me about you was a Catholic priest.
Yeah.
And during your, was it 3 years stint as moderator? Of
well, it was 1 year actually.
1 year.
It felt, yeah.
Just felt at 3. But during that year and beyond, and for various reasons, I touched on the crisis of leadership in the Catholic Church, and I believe that there's a similar crisis of leadership in the Church of Scotland.
Yeah.
And I think that your voice has been, or your role has been as the de facto unofficial leader of the Christian churches, all the Christian churches, including the Catholic Church, at a time when leadership has been sadly lacking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. you know, I will tell you one thing about that. It's really weird as a Free Church minister to be told that, you know, I've spoken for the Catholic Church, so thank you.
I'm getting sent. I'm watching for the Thunderbolts.
You're getting out of here, yeah.
But David, you are. I think what we're saying here is you're a prophetic voice in the city and in the country, and you're going to be a tragic loss, and you'll be sadly missed.
Yeah, the Catholic bishop here once introduced me to the BBC as oh, that's our spokesperson. So I thought I really need to reverse off of that. But guys, that's enough. Anyway, we better let it. But I do want to help. I want to give you just a wee gift. This is just my latest book. It is written for 15 to 17-year-olds. I'm saying it is written.
That's my reading age. You know.
Yeah, it's written for 15 to 17-year-olds. It's your colour of your shirt. Yeah. But I thought 15 to 17-year-olds, that'll work because, you know, at the level that you're at with your Catholic theology, you're probably... it's maybe a wee bit advanced, you know, but you'll get there. So thank you so much, guys. What we're going to do is I'm going to ask you guys to go and sit back down. I'm going to ask the band to come up. They're going to play 3 more songs. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about some of the things that have been said, because these are really, really important issues, and the poverty and the need for the gospel and all the different things, the integrated things that are involved. I'm very, very grateful to these gentlemen. Please give them a clap, and then the band will play a couple of songs, and then we'll finish. Thank you. Good.